All right, guys, welcome everyone. Good to be here with you guys today. This is Satoshi Check. Today, we're going to be talking about the overall market. We're going to be talking about some things that are popped up on my radar, as well as possible new catalysts that we have coming in, and I think you guys know what that's all about. So I look forward to today and going over a few things that I'm looking at. And an interesting but very simple way to look at cryptocurrency and investing. So that's what we're going to be going on and doing today. If you guys got any questions for the Discord, please, hop on Discord and ask any questions you guys have. If you want to do the trading chat, executive chat, or the server general chat, if you're not in the Discord, I recommend you guys definitely who are watching get on the Discord. We have an amazing team, an extensive team, people that are qualified in every different aspect you could dream of, and people who want you to succeed most of all, and that is a rare concept in the wild west of crypto. I made an announcement to Discord actually 3 days ago, and I see a few streamers that are like, "Oh, actually not many." There's actually one streamer I have in mind, and he's kind of underground, so to speak, similar to me as far as like just maybe not that many people know him, but kind of catching a buzz. And he said, I told my Discord back in January to dump all altcoins. And it's a good call overall in some extents. And I was tracking along right with this group, telling our group put 75-50% cash reserves for later, right? We're talking, and even months ago, before any of the tariff stuff got even talked about, settled upon, we were already projecting in our Discord June and July for something to even get going, right? But besides that, our group was already on top of putting money away and not going full force, meaning like not putting every dollar you have into altcoins. Our group is doing that. Now, I made a post about 3 days ago, 4 days ago, and I touched on this before the market even went down. There's a famous influencer. Shout out to the guy; he's a good guy. He dedicates his work to cryptocurrency. And listen, not every person can always be right. No one person has a magic can see into the future, right? So I don't, get on anyone who's wrong about a trade or who's wrong about something, because I can't always be right and they can't always be right. Recently, I had told the guy on X, got almost 1 million followers, Marty Party. I said, "Hey man, you're wrong on this wick off accumulation," because when I had checked it, and he had projected that by today already that we would already be touching 118, 120K. I believe his projection was around 120K. So I had to fact check that. I believe it was like 113, and then the next pit stop above that. And I knew it was off, right? And the reason why is Bitcoin, number one, um, some people bring up M2 money supply. That is absolutely okay. The global liquidity cycle is an absolute tool when we deal with cryptocurrencies and or TradFi, okay? But it cannot be used as a all-encompassing tool. M2 cannot, because just because like for instance, months ago when the Chinese money supply was increasing, XYZ was increasing, that didn't necessarily correspond directly to the market, right? Now, there's a lot of correlations that you can find within the global M2 supply in Bitcoin. And what I'm going to get into here is, when he had made that post, I said, listen, and I, respectfully had a, mentioned with him, and I said, hey, this is incorrect. We're going to be going down, actually. And the reason why I said that, and this is before we actually got some fairly good news here now, it's still going to ruffle some feathers, okay? But I'm going to give you my take on that here in a second. I said, there's no way we get this super leg up right now, and this is this past week, because nothing's changed. And like people fail to realize that. It's like when you're new to cryptocurrency, sometimes like because I've had people that are newer, they're very smart. Give them enough time in crypto, they'll be one of everybody that's the sharpest kid on the block. But when sometimes you're like just getting to know finance, maybe you don't have a degree in finance, but you're learning, you're a smart person, you kind of think, well, stocks should just go up because I looked up prior bull runs, and during this time is the altcoin season, right? This is the time where in the past cycles it just goes straight up, right? So that should be the case, right? This year should be the explosion phase, or so to speak, the banana zone. Now I'm going to get to that. And do I believe we are going to have a banana zone? Absolutely. But one of the things I mentioned to Marty Party was there has been no change with the Fed, right? There's no significant monetary policy change. We didn't get rate cuts. We got, Jerome Powell in the last month or so, bits and pieces from him talking about, they had the tools to come in and bail the market out if needed, kind of the wait and see approach, and on top of that, our rate cut projections were cut. I actually talked to a friend of mine whose father works at the Fed. And there's actually thousands of employees there. I believe there's a lot. And he works there. And, of course, they can't, say something that's going to go on the news or anything. But, he talks with his with my friend all the time, my friend's father. And he was saying, basically, my friend, that, and which tracked along with everything I've been, researching, is that if jobs data comes in bad, right, it may force the hand of the Fed in the United States to ease monetary policy, okay? I.e., turn the money printer on, right? But right, it is at the expense of people we're talking about. But at the end of the day, right, we're here, all of us. I don't care if you're a millionaire, you got $500,000, you got $200, doesn't matter. You're here because you want to change your life. You're probably here because you don't want to quit. You're probably here like, listen, I'm not leaving. I'm going to keep going until I'm successful. And that's the mindset you got to have. And I believe with that mindset, you will absolutely win. I couldn't tell you how many losses I had before, over the years of perfecting stuff, and I'm still not perfect. Anybody that says they're a perfect trader, I really want to beat them, unless they work for the government, because they're like the best traders, even better than Warren Buffett. But no, we all make mistakes. Some stuff doesn't work out like it's supposed to, but hey, you live and learn, and you get better and better and better. And what he had mentioned is jobs data. There's a few surveys, one from Michigan University. They came out, and it was around 70%. The last time it didn't even get this high, actually, the survey, was during the 2008 financial horrors of the United States. In 2008, we had a horrible, just absolute horrible economic disaster. A lot of people try to blame it on credit, like lending to people with poor credit or people that couldn't pay the bills back. That is a part of it. Don't get me wrong, but there was also a lot of mismanagement, a lot of other stuff going on. But at the end of the day, I firsthand witnessed it. I was there. I was a kid then, but I witnessed it because even my father, and he does stuff. He works with nuclear stuff and does all types of stuff. At the time, he was an environmental scientist, worked at a place for 10 years, and they laid him off. And so I know firsthand what it's like to go through, an economic hardship when you have everything, right? And so what's interesting is even in the 2007, 2008, and even, that some people say we never really got back to whole after that. But during that time, during the financial disaster of 2008, um, we had Michigan University had a survey, okay, same one they did just recently. And I believe it was in the 60s range, 50s to upper 60s range of, and I'm going to pull this up first in a little bit. But basically, expectations. It's a survey that involves expectations of job security, and it also surveys whether college grads, how they feel about leaving college. Do they believe they're going to get a job? Do they believe that their job may be at risk, right? Or they may not even get a job, right? And it's at the highest levels it's pretty much ever been. It was over a 70%, which is astonishing, guys. This is real stuff. Like, I know you might, if you're not from the USA, you might say, hey, whatever, but for people in the USA, 70% of people are worried. Now, remember, this is a survey, right? So, you can't survey every single person in the United States, but, they try to make, they take the sample and try to, disperse that as much as possible to get, an unfair and unbiased survey. And around 70% said that they were worried about job stability, job growth, and even getting a job at all, which is worse than in 2008. So we got to think that people are worried about jobs, okay? Now, right now, everything's seeming on the surface to be okay, right? Everything is seeming to be okay on the surface because there's something my buddy I was talking to as well about is some of these big companies, right? They may report actually a reduction in, say, layoffs, okay? But for that year, they hired 5,000 less people than they were projected to hire. So they let go even less. So it looks on paper as if, well, these people aren't, laying off that many people. Actually, the percentage came back lower. But if you dig into it, they didn't hire the extra 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever number projected employees. So jobs data is looking okay right now, but it is something that the Fed is watching, something that I am watching very closely, and to see how that kind of plays a role going forward. I'm just going to check this to see if we have anything here. If anybody, I see Lewis on here. Shout out to Lewis, man. How's it going, bro? Let's see. Anybody got any questions for today? I'd love to pop off with some questions if you guys have them. Got lots of stuff to go over today. So that was just a few thoughts that I wanted to come up. And also, we have a catalyst, an unknown catalyst. And what was weird is a few nights ago, as I was going to sleep, I'm on the screens a lot these days. This is my job now. I've worked long enough that, the screens have become my job. And, I was going to sleep and something hit me. And I said, it felt like a previous bull run. Like I was in like 2017. And it hit me like it was definitely like many years back, and it hit me. I was like, oh, there's the unknown catalyst. Like, and it was weird. Like the dream kind of came to me. And no, this isn't about dreams. This isn't about anything like that. It was just about that, like in finance, there's always not always, but I mean, generally there's always a news piece. There's always something that, we're in a slump, and then there's that piece that hits. It's like breaking news, something happens and it turns everything, or right, it could even be a disaster like COVID, right? And the market absolutely tank, and then the Fed comes in, bails it out, and the markets go absolutely crazy. But it just reminded me something was going to come up, something was going to hit me, that we got that catalyst, right? And so I want to tell you guys today, this isn't the this is over catalyst. We're going straight to the moon, okay? But as you guys see here, and I know all of you guys have heard this, but U.S. court blocks most Trump tariffs. They say President Trump exceeded his authority. Court cites that the Constitution grants Congress power to regulate international commerce. Markets cheer ruling. So the hedge funds, everybody is like ecstatic about this. The dollar increased, like you can compare it to the Brazil R. I actually did a trade, and that's not something I, on the crypto side, but sometimes I will go between currencies and trade different currencies and stuff. And the Brazil R it's a very good comparison, the dollar to the Brazil R. You can also compare it to the euro or various, but the dollar gained back some strength against the Brazil R yesterday. It actually was at like beginning of the year almost over $6 for one Brazil R. Now it's about 565-ish, I would say, without checking it, but it's in that range. So it says Trump administration files notice of appeal. So they have filed an appeal. The Trump administration has filed an appeal. Okay. Tariffs on auto, steel, and aluminum remain in place. Okay. So that was a big one. Remember that. So a big one was this, right? And we're also hearing, and one thing people also fail to realize is how big. Do you know the population of Japan? I don't know it right off, but I can tell you they have a small population, okay? And this is what's crazy. They have the power to single-handedly crash the global stock market. You're like, how is that possible? It's absolutely possible. And on top of that, they are actually one of the major purchasers of U.S. debt. And you guys heard about those. Hopefully, you guys cashed in on the Bank of Japan carry trade. We had that wick down to 50,000 back in 2024. That quick wick, some were projecting we're going to go back down to 40,000 on the Bank of Japan carry trade. The carry trade unwind when Japan hiked their rates, right? And Japan doesn't typically, hike rates regularly. So it was a big deal. It sent markets spiraling. We saw just a bloodbath of a bloodbath. And then Bitcoin went on to rally into where we are today. So it never saw that $50,000 again after that. Surprisingly, a lot of people said, "Oh, we're going to go back down," and it never did. So it says a U.S. trade court blocked most of President Donald Trump's tariffs in a sweeping ruling on Wednesday that found the president overstepped his authority by imposing across-the-board duties on imports from U.S. trading partners. The Court of International Trade, so this is who instituted this block on President Trump. The Court of International Trade said the U.S. Constitution gives Congress exclusive authority to regulate commerce with other countries that is not overridden by the president's emergency powers to safeguard the U.S. economy. So basically, there is an appeal there. Some people, and some very smart people that I know, I even talked to a great friend of mine. He is a historian, okay? He's very big into history, but he's very big into world history and politics. And he believes there's a good chance that this sticks, that there's not going to be much Trump can do. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And we'll check back, but that could be a huge catalyst, guys. So now what we're looking at, okay, is are we seeing, okay, are we now going to see that the market kind of priced in, right, that those tariffs and uncertainty kind of early on, and now that wind is at our back, right? Like that could be great news. Like the wind could be at our back now. If this goes forward, right, and those tariffs go away, and now, right, the market had panicked. Everybody was getting out. Hedge funds were selling. Lots of stuff going on across the board. If that's kind of at our back now, then that is a huge catalyst going forward. Now we still got to kind of, dive deep, and as we go, this group especially will be diving into all the macro and what's going on and what noise is in the background that we need to listen to and what noise we need not listen to. So, today I wanted to talk about a couple things, and I'm not going to talk so much. I did want to mention, especially what's going on with, just great catalyst overall. It was an amazing catalyst. Now we have to see how it sticks. We have to see, because I had written down a couple things, and I said, well, it wouldn't be so great if it was long and drawn out, right? Like that's not something we really want. Is something that's long and drawn out with appeals and more uncertainty. But let's just say this goes well. This could bode very well in our favors, especially in risk-on assets, right? Because the major thing is, like, if you could imagine a plane, right? Like, if you were in a plane and you're flying, and we're going in for this landing, we're just kind of right here, the landing strip's right here. And, we're kind of, stuck here, and either we're going to nosedive, we're going to come in bumpy, right? Or, we just come in perfect, good landing gear, and roll, and then take off again. So that would be the ideal scenario, is if we give it some power right before, and so we stick a soft landing and just boom. And that is the catalyst that we could possibly be looking at this and kind of putting some of these tariffs behind us. And this is great news, guys. So definitely wanted to mention that. And today, for the group, I wanted to talk to you guys about some ideas that I have for myself and definitely for the group. And I'm just going to check this here. What I wanted to get into is that looking at some trades, okay? So coming up, I didn't post any leverage trades for our group just for a couple of days. We smashed a couple, monster great trades. We also got some other trades coming in there. But I know for myself, we did some great trades. I will always, be in favor of putting good trades out there that I know are, to the best of my ability, good. And instead of in a very volatile market, one thing I learned, and this is your taste as a trader, okay? But one thing I learned is you don't need to get too greedy. You don't need to be in 10 trades a day. And you don't need to lose, half of your trades and win half of them and break even, right? I'd rather, take 10 trades even as low as 10 trades, but all 10 of those trades be excellent, than take 20 trades and, 11 be great, right? But the other ones hurt me. Like, it just all depends on your risk tolerance, but I do try to post really great trades. So if you're not in this Discord, we do leverage trade, scalp trading, swing trading, spot buying. We talk about the macro. We do charting. It is just all around a great group. But we had some really successful trades, and I haven't posted any for a reason. The reason being is the market right now is in, kind of a limbo, okay? Monetary policy, we have not gotten to the point. So we got monetary policy. We've not gotten to the point where any monetary policy has changed. Now, we have an upcoming meeting, okay, in June, okay, and the dates will be posted, and we'll be, reviewing that as well. So we have June coming up, and the chance of a rate cut is low. Unfortunately, it's low. But maybe we will get some more direction, because a lot of times the market doesn't necessarily need to see that you've cut rates that session, or that meeting, but more so that what was the stance, or is there information about possibly starting quantitative easing or stopping quantitative tightening? Or is there some dovish language in there, right? And not so hawkish, right? We remember hawkish language, right? And hawkish positioning from the Fed strengthens the dollar, okay? And which corresponds to, and I'm going to be going over the Fed minutes in a report later, but corresponds to dollar strength. And believe it or not, dollar strength is actually not the best thing for Bitcoin, believe it or not. Some people are like, why is that? Why? But just how it is. The dollar, when the dollar's weaker, it usually corresponds to higher prices in the overall stock market. Now, what I've been looking at for this group, and I'm not going to take too long today, but I want to go over a few important things that I felt that as a group, I would love to be doing with you guys, okay? So with a calculator here, okay? This is what I wanted you guys to check out, okay? So just to be accurate, let's take $10,000, okay? $10,000 times 2, $20,000. We'll just do US dollars, okay? And let's do that. Let's times that by 2. Okay, so you took 10,000, you 2x'd it. You took the 20,000, you 2x'd it. You got 40,000. Now let's 2x the 40,000. You're at 80,000. So what if we could 2x that? You're at 160,000. What if we could get one more 2x? You're at 320,000. What if we could get one more 2x, just a 2x? You're at $640,000. And if you were able to get one more 2x, you're over $1,280,000. What I say by that is I am working really hard for this group to find trades that I will do, and I mean I do my due diligence with this. I am looking for trades to multiply, okay? And nothing in crypto is guaranteed, okay? Nothing in crypto ever is. But doesn't it sound a whole lot easier to 2x something than it does waiting for it to 10x or 20x? Yeah, I mean, maybe even 5x. Now, there's outliers. Look at Virtual's protocol, okay? Look at, certain cryptocurrencies that came out late and just had a magnificent run, but they weren't those core ones. Like, look at Ondo. Okay, Ondo was in the spotlight for ages, okay? And I bought Ondo when it first dropped, and I made, I 2x my money. I sold around $1.40 is 4. I believe it got that high. Yeah. So I ended up getting $2. I think I sold right here on this one, yeah. So I mean, I could have waited. I could have got that one last, but I sold around $1.56 or something like that. Solid trade. So I about 3x that, right? Not bad. And so, but I mean, the volume has been outrageous. with Ondo. Look at that. It climbed 26 in rankings today. That's definitely because we had a lot of stuff fall behind. Rank 35. Wow, wow, wow. But yeah, so what I am looking at is like trying to compound interest. Like if you thought like interest, think of it as gains, right? So what I'm looking at for our group in particular is compounding gains. And I have a few cryptocurrencies in mind, and I'm still researching. And our group's going to get the exclusive. So, if you want to join our group, got to join our group because the exclusive stuff's going to be there. Also going to put it out here on a video for everybody else to see it as well, of course. And I'm going to be spreading this video out there for you guys. But I'm here to talk about some promising projects that I have my eyes on. So number one, we have Caspa. Okay, we got smart contracts coming out. What some people don't understand is with Caspa is right now you can say, okay, well, because Caspa does not have smart contracts, it doesn't have TVL. TVL is total value locked. This is usually was for proof of stake chains or proof of stake hybrid chains, TVL. Okay, like Bitcoin doesn't have a TVL necessarily because it doesn't have a total value locked. It's like Caspa, right? It's a store of value, but it doesn't have like someone who stakes Bitcoin, on the Bitcoin network, right? Like there are cryptocurrencies like Baby or Babylon or different things where you can stake Bitcoin or yield, but that's not what I'm talking about here. It's like Caspa, similar to Bitcoin and similar to Litecoin in the fact that, it is exclusively more of a store of value, peer-to-peer electronic currency. And it has done phenomenal. It has managed to stay in the top 50. Take in mind, no TVL, meaning there's no active stuff going on. Now, you guys got to think the KRC's 20 standard was not was more parasitic for Caspa than actually was beneficial. Because you got to think a lot of those influencers that they're not influencers, but the influencers that work on X that deal with like meme coins, they have to make money at the end of the day, and so they were taking that Caspa and selling it, right, to get money to put in their bank account. So they weren't necessarily the Caspa that they were receiving for their meme coins wasn't necessarily staying, being locked away in pools on the Caspa network. No, it was going to them and they were cashing out. So for Caspa to even be where it is today is phenomenal. And once there's smart contracts, right, and there's some word going around that any day there could be smart contracts. This is a bet that I have for this cycle, a conservative bet that I have for this cycle. I'm not going and get into any price predictions, but Caspa's not the one, and I wanted to bring this up, not the one that I'm going to be looking at for these spot trades that our group is going to get into if you choose to. And my goal is compounding. So I am digging, I am going through everything, guys. I actually pay for an advanced AI system that actually scans X, scans Twitter, scans all social media, all different networks, find out what's going on, new partnerships, catalysts, all of it. I continually train the model, and I find different opportunities. My goal is that with that $500, that $1,000, that $5,000 you have, if we can double that, and then look for another 2x, go on from that, look for another 2x, go on for that. But then you have an allocated portfolio that's balanced, right? And I'm going to actually be making a post about this, where, a great beginner's portfolio would be about 75% Bitcoin, 25% other, okay? Now, if you're all altcoins at this point, totally get it, no problem. So, the goal here is to maximize profits. Okay. Now, there's a lot of economic uncertainty right now, which is why this cycle is not comparable to any past cycles. I've lived through those cycles and I was there. And I can tell you, this is not the same. No cycle was ever the same. But this is definitely not the same. And it all has to do with monetary policy. Okay. So what I'm going to be looking for is some trades, guys. And this is one that I have for a group that I've been eyeing, and just haven't pressed the smash button yet because I want to see where the market's going to go. But this is one that I'm looking at. This is why, and hear me out, AI agents have made a splash. Now, here's the thing. I had thought that the AI agents themselves were going to be the big breadwinner. And of course the platform, but more so the individual AI agents. That's not the case. A lot of those agents were pumped and dumped. And the thing is now you're even seeing Grayscale, and Grayscale even has Virtuals Protocol. Okay, we got Virtuals Protocol under consumer and services, like culture, consumer, and services. So that's what they have for Virtuals Protocol, which is very similar to Cookie DAO. And Cookie DAO, look, it's got a good volume. Okay, about 54 million. This is why I like this. And if anybody can tell me what's going on with this, I see it says Kraken here, but I do not see it on Kraken. So if somebody has an answer for that, love to hear that. But I do. Usually they're really good about that, and I do not see it in here. Let's see here. So this is Cookie DAO, and this is one that I'm looking for. Okay, for the group, for a 2x, and move on to the next one. And looking at the chart here, guys, okay, and this is, we're not going to go in depth here, but if you look at here, what we get up to, it's in the best chart, but it is about 3x from its previous all-time high, okay? And it's gaining momentum as being one of the forefront agent economies. And this one, I believe, will do well. It has the AI narrative, has the AI agent narrative. It has decent tokenomics, okay? There's actually not that many in circulation, but the max supply is not very much either. It's like 1 billion or so. So it's not like Ponzi-nomics. They have a fair amount of a fair total supply. We'll check that out here in a second. But this one, I believe, may be a great trade for a spot trade. And I am trying to time this well with the market. So for our group, be prepared if you have a spot bag. Don't just jump in and blind. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm eyeing this and I'm watching it like a hawk. And I'm also watching for catalysts because I think when the market picks up, this one is going to do well. It is a low market cap. Look at this, $123 million market cap, meaning it can move. It can absolutely. Is it possible to get to a $500 million market cap? Especially look at Virtuals. Look at Virtuals. Has a $1.47 billion market cap with a previous all-time high of 460. Okay? Now they are a little bit different. They do a few things differently. That is true. But they are both AI agents, platforms. They like I said, they do a few things differently, but they are very similar in nature and in category. And virtuals is also another cryptocurrency I am looking at for a swing trade. First of all, it is hanging in there with the likes of Sui as far as volume. Look at the amount of volume we have on virtuals, almost 400 million on virtuals. I think virtuals is going to pull a Sui and absolutely shred the $4. Okay, in my opinion, I think this one's got legs, and I'm actually going to be looking at this one first for the group, depending on the market, for like say even a compounded interest of like a 1.5x, or even like 50 to 75% gain and trade and keep compounding. And that is something I want to talk to you guys about. Is say you have your core portfolio. Let's say, for instance, your core portfolio is you put your BTC to the side. If you have BTC, you put that to the side, and your main cryptocurrencies. Say you have 2 to 3 that you don't. These are your HODL positions, because we know long-term traders tend to be very successful. Okay, that doesn't mean a day trader can't be more successful, but long-term traders generally do well. Okay, so with that being said, if we can take a portion, okay, and say even if we allocate whatever you can afford and what your goals are, but say we allocate $500 to $1,000. Let's just start with something like that, okay? And we compound that. We turn 1,000 into 1,500, and then we 2x that. We're at 3,000. We 2x that. We're at 6,000, and we 2x that. We're at 12,000. And so during all throughout this bull run, I am going to be like a hawk, finding these plays for you. And I actually got another one here that I'm going to be discussing with you, keeping the eyes on the market for everyone. But when the time is right and the entry's right, like I'm not the type of person to rush, okay? So I don't want to rush anyone else into a trade either, right? Like, rush, go buy this, and then it drops another 20 cents. Well, we could have saved that, right? So virtuals, Cookie Dow, and good old Jupiter. Okay, Jupiter, DEX on Solana. DEX is actually one of the top gaining categories yesterday. Jupiter is undervalued at this price. Okay, when Solana picks up, Jupiter's going to absolutely shred. It's probably going to have a God candle to $1. It wanted to explode for the last few days, and it actually did explode. It went up just 30% in like a few seconds, and it wicked up, wicked down. But it is forming a pretty moving averages, oscillators. As of yesterday, I got to check again. All in strong buy territory. And Jupiter is a great trade, I believe, for spot bag when the market picks up. Now, I'm not saying, well, let's wait until it's $1 until we get into it. No, we're going to position ourselves. But Jupiter is also one that I'm eyeing. And remember, not all of them have to be 2Xs, as long as we're compounding them. Because what you'll notice about a bull run is sometimes they run in category. Is it a coincidence that yesterday all DEXs were running in tandem? Uniswap was up for the day. Jupiter was up. Jupiter, had I wouldn't call it a God candle because it wicked, but literally wicked up 30%. All DEXs were the top gaining category for as far as categories go. DEXs were on fire yesterday. And is it a coincidence that DEXs run together because they're all on different blockchains? No, it's not. There's niches that run. So that's the same thing with Axelar. Axelar is my spot bag. You guys know about Axelar. I talked to the people at Axelar. I just want to let the group know this. I talked to some of the guys at Axelar, and I told them, I said, hey, guys, listen. You guys have some of the best tech, some of the best partnerships. I mean, they are partnered with Sui, right? They are partnered with Brad Garlinghouse, with David Schwartz. David Schwartz sits down and talks to Axelar all the time. They're partnered with MasterCard, Microsoft, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, you name it, Axlar's partnered with them. But I talked to them and I said, guys, you got to do some marketing because your tech beats so much on the market, but people just don't know about you yet. So I know Axlar, and I believe in Axlar because, and not just for the tech, because it's not like for instance with Caspa, I think it's a breakthrough on the proof of work front, and it's absolutely breakthrough tech. Now Axlar is solving problems though. Now Caspa is solving like the peer-to-peer Satoshi vision. That's absolutely a problem, that it's solving. Sure, but Axlar is integrated with 100 plus blockchains. You name it, they do it. This is like one of those ones that I'm like going to build a spot position on, right? That I'm looking for that 5 to 10x on, right? Like being trying to be conservative and see what this cycle brings us, but Axlar is one of those ones that I may say, hey, my Axlar, Caspa for my altcoins, those are going to be my hodl bags, and I am going to allocate X, Y, and Z to spot trade. So I am going to be working very hard to find opportunities for spot trading, like white, for instance. Okay, I really, really, really wish I would have got us in. I had this opportunity, it's just done phenomenally well. It's not available on a lot of exchanges though, but I am going to be sifting through this, you guys. You guys bet. Pendle's also something. It's got a higher market cap though. Also hearing a lot of good things about Plume, guys. I have heard from you guys. I didn't like the vesting so much. But yeah, so I wanted to go on here and look at Cookie DAO real quick. And so this piqued my interest. It's got room to run market cap wise, right? And so Cookie DAO, and what I like about this is, here we go. Good trading volume, just like some of the top 50. Okay, and so it's got about 1,200,000 total supply, and about half of that, 514 million, are in circulation. That is, it's got a market cap of 123 million, fully diluted about 240 million. And so, as you can see here, we're definitely in that downtrend. Kind of, boom, had that God candle up here, and we kind of came back here to test, and you can kind of see that right here. And so we'll kind of see if this holds support. And then my next line, as you guys know in the group, what was it, 20 cents right here, kind of our next area of support. And I was hoping if we can get an entry around 20 cents, that'd be great. Now, if this area holds, that's okay too. But I'm seeing, I definitely am looking for spot buys in that 20 cent zone. But overall, great. They got some great backers, over 22 backers. And they've had decent fundraising. Cookie DAO, they've had some, they have some good backers. And overall, a lot of people back them. If you look at that return on investment of 27x. See, I told you some of these people really pay pennies for shares, but some of these projects end up being so good and they make it. And definitely in the right niche. So we're looking at Cookie DAO. We're looking at Virtuals. Virtuals is really making a splash. They are, and previously they were Path DAO. So remember Cookie DAO, Path DAO is now Virtuals protocol. So AI agent platform. If you kind of look at that chart, I mean, well, it's kind of beautiful. Let's be honest with ourselves, guys. The Virtuals chart's just nothing but pure beauty. Anyways, it's got this. Look at that. Look at the tokenomics, guys. Similar to Cookie DAO. It's just so interesting. About 1 billion tokens, and about 654 million of those are in supply. So I'm looking at Virtuals and Cookie DAO for the group. Also going to keep my eye out on a lot of other projects for you guys. And I told the group, like, as of right now, like, I would be a little bit hesitant to like long ETH or long Sol, just because of what I saw in the market with the volatility. We will be posting some leverage trades soon. I'll be posting some more leverage trades. Love to hear from you guys. You know, a lot of you guys are working. And I'm going to get out of here for the day. I plan on going live. I'm making a video series about various ways to vet cryptocurrencies. If you're brand new, what are some things to look at, ways to stay safe, and please, 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 just like you guys are doing, keep killing it, keep locking in. You know, your patience is going to reward you. You know, your patience will reward you guys. You know, just being here, sticking here. I've seen so many people do phenomenally well in our group, even in mixed markets, right? And so that just goes to show you, we have an amazing group here, and it's just a phenomenal group. And we've kind of seen a retracement on the fear and greed. We're still a little bit in greed, but we're kind of getting into that neutral zone. And yeah, so those are a few thoughts that I had, guys. And I also brought this up real quick, and I was going to end with this, is, you know, if you guys ever want to play around, go to Market Cap Up. And so, like, you know, it's interesting. Like, you know, if you want to see, like, Caspa, and, like, say if it had, like, the market cap of Shiba. There we go. SHIB. So even if it just barely went from 2 to 8 million, it would do a 3x from here. Okay, and that's at a very low. That's just at SHIB's market cap today, right? And so you can come on here and just kind of plug and play. So you can kind of find out, like, you can find an asset that, say, like, you could take Cookie DAO. If you took Cookie DAO and said, let's do Axelar, because Axelar wasn't that, just a little bit over that. And so Cookie DAO, just doing a 2x in market cap would give it almost a 3x, right? And so that's those compounded moves we're going to be looking for. Satoshi, check out. I am going to be doing a couple live streams this week. Going to be doing some new reports. And definitely tune in for the reports this week. I do have some new information coming out. I have all of that for the whole week, information coming out on a few posts. So thank you for being with me today, guys. I am out. And I just want to say to everybody, you know, have a great day. Have a great evening. I am out. Talk to you guys soon. All right.